Rachel said it was.
Should we start, or are people still rolling in?
There hasn't been anyone in the waiting room for the last 3 minutes, so I really think we should begin.
Okay, I did
Okay.
let somebody in a minute ago, but I think we're good now.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready to begin. So welcome everyone to our Temple Sinai second annual final, God willing, virtual Seder. We're so glad to have you here. I'm Rabbi Aviva.
I'm Cantor Jake.
And we also have Cantor Rachel. Yes.
Cantor
say
Rachel
hello.
over here.
Hi. So we're so glad to be here with you. And here's my hubby, Scott. He's going to be reading some of the readings. And my
I saw that
kids
guy
are
on
going
the
to be,
TV.
what's that?
I said I saw him on the YouTube. That's a famous
I
famous TV
know.
personality.
Yes, he is. He's a famous YouTuber now. Okay, so I think we're about ready to start. As I said in my letter, hopefully you all received my letter, we are not going to do candle lighting here now. So if you have not already done so, certainly, after the fact, after the Seder, this part of the Seder, you can go and do so. We're only going to go until the meal. And then at that point, we'll send you off, and everyone will have their own meal for Shulchan Orech, that point in the Seder, and then you can continue the Seder on your own. Today, we're going to be using Mishkan HaSeder, which is the CCAR new Haggadah, and it's really an excellent publication. And you can pick that up on the CCAR website. They also have ebook versions of that as well. But today, so that we're all on the same page, literally, I'm going to share my screen so that we can see the Haggadah that we're using. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit further in so we can see. And we are going to start with the first cup of wine or grape juice. So if you have not already done so, please fill your glasses. But actually, before we even do that, I want to show you what is on our Seder plate, because I don't think that that's actually in the part of this Haggadah that I took from. Let me do that. So here we have, you can see it on my big screen too. We have my Seder plate. I can't really hold it up. Here we go. Okay, and here's Vanna. He's showing the Seder plate. And we have here on our Seder plate, we have maror, which is the horseradish. We have parsley as our karpas, our green vegetable. We have chazeret as one type of spicy kind of a thing, which for us is cilantro. We have the horseradish, the maror. We have the shank bone, which is our zaroa. We have beitzah, our roasted egg, and we have our charoset. And in the middle of this, just in case I forget later, this is an orange. And the orange is on our Seder plate as a result of a conversation that Susanna Heschel had with a man in an audience of a lecture she was giving. And the man said that women belong on the bima like bread on the Seder plate, which of course would be a shanda. That would be horrendous. So she said, oh no, it's not like bread on the Seder plate, but it is different. So I think it's like an orange on the Seder plate. It's new and unexpected. Now this of course happened a few decades ago, before there were so many women in the rabbinate. So now we have an orange on the Seder plate to say everyone is welcome at our Seder. And people use this to show inclusivity of people of all genders, of all sexual orientations, and to show that we're inclusive of everyone at our Seder. Everyone is welcome. Okay, so I hope everyone is ready for the first cup. So I'm going to share the screen again. And I'm going to ask Cantor Jake, and Cantors Jake and Rachel. I don't know which one of them is going to do each part, but our cantors to lead us in the first cup of wine or grape juice. And if you have a glass, please raise it now.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, ve'romemanu mikol lashon, ve'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava, modim lesimcha, chagim uzmanim lesason, et yom ha'chamatzot hazeh. זמן חירותנו מקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ומועדי קודשך בשמחה ובששון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש ישראל והזמנים. אמן. Hi.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Okay. So we are now on the second step of our Seder, which is the karpas. I'm going to change pages here. And that is page. There we are. Okay, and for this, I've invited our cantors to sing us part of, is that our next part? Oh no, we haven't gotten karpas yet. We have orchatz first. Just a moment, I forgot orchatz. There we go, orchatz. So it is a minhag, a custom to rinse our hands without reciting a blessing. First the right hand and then the left before the ritual of karpas. We pour the water twice over each hand, but a formal blessing is not recited for a custom as it is for a mitzvah, an act of sacred obligation. The washing of hands before eating karpas dates to the time of the temple in Jerusalem. In those days, rules of ritual purity required hand washing before eating fruits and vegetables that had contact with water. And so actually, I'm going to be doing this hand washing symbolically. But before I do, I'm going to read this little meditation. I hope that you can all see this. In silence, I pour upon my hands water from the cup of life. As I feel it on my skin, I am refreshed and renewed for a life of purpose. As it flows over my hands, it reminds me to cleanse myself of unworthy pursuits and petty concerns. As this water is pure, so too let the works of my hands be pure. As water has the power to heal and revive, so too may I use my strength to sustain life now and always. And so now we have a beautiful song, from Shir HaShirim, which is the Song of Songs. In the spring of the year, season of rebirth and renewal, we turn to the Bible, Shir HaShirim, or Song of Songs. Its poetry evokes the themes of hope, promise, and potential in nature and in our lives. And now I invite cantors Jake and Rachel to sing that.
I think just me on it. But Rachel got me ready. Cantor Rachel prepped me so beautifully. Kumi lach rayati yafati ulchilach ki hine hastavavar hageshem chalaf halach lo hanitzanim niru va'aretz et hazamir higia vekol hator nishma be'artseinu נשכים על הכרמים נראים פרחה הגפן פיתח הסמדר עצנו הרימונים שם אתן תודה לך Baruch soon.
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, the next section is actually the karpas. It says karpas on the top of this page, but this whole section is karpas. We are going to the bottom of, the next page. And before we say the bracha, which is right here, Borei Priha Adama, I'm going to read this reading. It's not in this book. It's actually from AJWS, which is one of my favorite tzedakah organizations, the American Jewish World Service. And they sent this out to their donors. Hope amidst the tears. This is a reflection on karpas during the time of COVID-19. In the telling of the Passover story, we recount the oppression that our ancestors experienced when we were slaves in Egypt. We dip a growing vegetable, karpas, into salt water to taste their tears of grief mingled with our hopes for life, health, and renewal for a more just world. This year, the tears are ours. They are the tears of the sick and their loved ones who worry or mourn. They are the tears of those who have lost their jobs, are uninsured, live in isolation, and must go to work each day to provide essential services to others. They're the tears of courageous healthcare workers who save lives and risk their own. We must acknowledge this pain and suffering and allow ourselves the space to grieve. Yet, as the karpas ritual beckons, we must also look toward the future with a sense of hope and possibility. Passover arrives on the precipice of spring, when new growth is just around the corner. All over the world, resilience, strength, compassion, and innovation will grow from under this tragedy. We honor the tears, but let us also bless the hope. So now we raise the karpas, which is our green vegetable or parsley. So if you could take your parsley and salt water, we're going to take the parsley and salt water and just dip a little in and hold it up for the bracha. Yeah. Could you tell? Okay, if everyone could dip a little bit of their karpas in the salt water, then each of us will all say the bracha, and then we can also have our egg. If you have hard-boiled eggs on your table, you can put a little salt on that too, and we'll dip the eggs in the salt water. The salt representing, of course, the tears, but also the egg representing the hope that was talked about in that poem as well. The hope of renewal of life, that life turns again anew. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Cantor Jake to say the bracha as we all take our karpas and get it ready to eat.
And we say together, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Peri Ha'adamah.
Amen.
Amen. Oh, great dip. Fruit of the earth, Borei Pri Ha'adamah, the fruit of the earth. So hey, that orange on the Seder plate, that's some fruit of the earth too. So just plenty of blessings here on Pesach. Great.
Pri ha'etz.
What do you say, Rachel? Pri ha'etz. It's Borei Pri ha'etz. Rachel is the keeper of the wisdom.
I used to teach kids how to bless different foods that they eat, so it's not Jake's fault.
So take a moment to eat a little bit of your egg as we prepare for the next section of our service, which the next section of our Seder is the Yachatz. On those who have the book, if you happen to have the book at home, it's page 26 in this book. And I'm going to put it up on the screen. Just a moment, I'm going to have to reload it. It got stuck. Just a moment. Okay, sorry about that technical difficulty. It was stuck. All right, so now we take the middle matzah. So if you have a matzah cover here, I'm going to take the middle one of the three, and I'm going to hold it up. And we read, now we break the middle matzah in two, hiding the larger portion as the afikomen, which means the dessert. After our Seder meal, we will share this broken piece, as in ancient times, families shared the Pesach offering in Jerusalem. Among many peoples and cultures, breaking bread signifies friendship. For the sake of redemption, ours and the world's, we pray together hallowed words that connect us to Jews everywhere and to all who are in need, the stranger and the lost, the hungry and the unjustly imprisoned, for our redemption is bound up with theirs and with the deliverance of all people. And so now I break the matzah, and the larger portion will be hidden. And actually, in our family this year, it's going to be my kids who are going to hide the afikomen from us, from the adults, so that we can find it. So I'm going to give that to them for later, and I'm going to put the middle part, the other part. Oh, actually, I'm not going to do that. I lied. First, we're going to hold up this smaller piece, and this is the bread of affliction that we're about to sing about with halachma anya. So I'm going to turn to page 43. Okay, and in the book, it is page 28 in that book. Okay, so Cantor Jake will sing halachma anya.
Halachmanya, diachalu ahavtana baradi mitzrayim, kol ichfin yete v'yichul, kol ditzrich yete v'yisach hashatacha, lashana haba, barad Yisrael, Hashatavde, Lishana haba b'nei chorin, Lishana haba b'nei chorin.
Okay, so now we replace this. Oh, I'm going to actually say this in English, so we translate it. Here, this is the bread of affliction. Here is the bread our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Anyone who is hungry, come in and eat. Anyone who is in need, come and find a place at our Pesach table. Now we are here, next year, in our own synagogue, in the land of Israel. Next year, now we are slaves. Next year, free, liberated, vaccinated people. And now we'll put this away. And this goes in the middle again. All right, so now this starts the largest portion of our Seder, which is the Magid section, which is the section that tells the story. It's the telling. So for those who have the book at home, it's page 34, but on this screen, it'll be page 49. Okay, so now we have the 4 questions. So do we have any kids on screen who want to do the 4 questions? Or should I have my sons do it? My kids do it? Okay, all right. So boys, I'm gonna get out of the way so that they can be in front of the screen.
All right.
Here they go.
Can I move this camera up so that they can see our faces?
Yes.
All right. You ready, Ange?
You can read it here.
Okay. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot shebeho halelot anu lochlin hametu matzah halayla hazeh kula matzah halayla hazeh kula matzah shebeho halelot anu lochlin she'ar yirakot halayla hazeh maror halayla hazeh maror shebeho halelot אין אנו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת. אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, שתי פעמים. הלילה הזה, שתי פעמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבינו ובין מסובין. בין יושבינו ובין מסובין. הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובין. הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובין.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, that was so good. Now I feel like it's really Pesach.
I need to go to the restroom.
Very good, very good. Okay. So the questions are in English. Why is this night so unlike other nights, unique in many ways? While on all other nights, the bread that we eat is hametz or matzah, and matzah, on this Pesach night, our bread is all matzah. While on all other nights, the plants that we eat are many and diverse, on this Pesach night, we taste a bitter herb. While on all other nights, we never dip herbs, we dip not even once, on this Pesach night, our custom is dip twice. While on all other nights, we eat sitting up or reclining as we dine, on this Pesach night, each of us reclines. And actually, this is the one night of the year, or two nights, tonight and tomorrow night, when you do not have to heed your parents' advice. Mabel, are you able to keep your elbows off the table? You can actually lean on the table. And some people put pillows behind their seat to be very comfortable, because that's how kings and queens, how monarchy, royalty eat. Very comfortable, as we are. Okay, so now we come to the next page. And this is the page that starts answering the question of what's this night all about? And this, we start with a song, Avadim Hayinu, which means we were slaves. Cantor Jake. Cantor Jake, you need to unmute. There we go.
עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין ונכורין. עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין. עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין ונכורין. אתה בני חורין ונכורין. עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין ונכורין. עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין. עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין ונכורין. אתה בני חורין ונכורין.
Beautiful. I love hearing your voices together. That was nice. Okay, so now we continue with the four children on page 44, if you have the book at home. And for me, it is flip book page 59. There we go. Okay. So why don't we start with the first two kids, first two children. You want to be a child? You want to read some?
I want to read one.
Okay, all right. So you want, how about we go this way? Okay, so we'll start here.
Okay, I'll be the wise one, I guess.
You're on.
Oh,
Just read.
there are wise sons and daughters. What do they say? What are the testimonies, the ethical and ritual obligations which our eternal God requires? You yourself shall teach them all the practices of Pesach, up to the final rule. After the Seder, we do not turn to other food or entertainment.
You read that closely, right? Rafi, right, Angelo? No other entertainment after the Seder? Okay. All right, next page. And I will be the wicked daughter.
Yay.
Rasha, the wicked one. There are sons and daughters who reject our rituals and traditions. That's just like me. What do they say? What is this Seder ceremony to you? To you and not to us. By rejecting the community, they have denied the essence of Jewish life. You in turn shall respond with conviction and say to them, this is because of what the Eternal did for me when I went forth from Egypt. For me and not for you. If he or she had been there, if you had been there, you would not have been redeemed. Okay, and now, whoops, the other way. Okay, it'll be the simple. The simple son.
There are sons and daughters who are simple. What do they say? What is this? And you shall say to them, with a mighty hand, the Eternal freed us from Egypt, from the house of oppression.
Just turn this to the next one. Okay, there we go, the top picture. The top paragraph. Starting with
Oh. There are sons and daughters who do not know how to ask. With them, you must take the initiative. As the Torah teaches, you shall tell your child on that day, saying, this is because of what the Eternal did for me when I went forth from Egypt.
Okay. As in the pages of our history, so too in our daily lives, these four characters, the one who is wise, the one who rejects, the one who is simple, and the one who does not know how to ask, reappear in unexpected ways. Through imagination and study, we ponder their questions and consider the difficulties they raise, all the while seeking insights to give meaning to our people's narrative and to our own stories. And I'm going to turn and, oops. Okay, well, it just closed again on me, I'm sorry. Let's try this again. And I need 67. Okay, and I'm going to blow this up so people can see it pretty well. Okay, so I'm going to ask Cantor Jake to read this reading on this page. The four children at the Seder table, which child am I?
As we celebrate this holiday of freedom, the ending of slavery, we ask, who am I when I hear of human rights abuses? Who will I choose to be when I know that others are suffering? Will I be one who does not ask? Will I close the newspaper or turn off the technology so that I do not hear or see? Will I turn my head and heart away? Will I ask only simple questions? What is this? Will I ask what but never why? Will I let the evil impulse, my yetzer hara, ask, what has this to do with me? Will I let the problem belong only to the victims and the do-gooders? Will I distance myself from those in need? Or will I strive to act in wisdom, to ask, what are the underlying causes of the problem, and what needs to be done to stop the abuse and free the oppressed? What are the laws, and what does God expect of me? May God open the eyes of those who do not see, the mouths of those who do not ask, and the hearts of those who do not care, and grant us the wisdom to open our hands to our fellow humans when they are in need. The hand of generosity, the hand of support, the hand of peace and friendship.
Thank you. Cantor Jake, your voice got so high. I'd swear you were a soprano. Okay, so this part is not in your in the Haggadah on the screen, but this is a summary of an answer to this question of all the 4 questions. Our ancestors were wandering Arameans who went down to the narrow places. The narrow places are Mitzrayim, which is literally what that means, the narrow place, which is Egypt, with a few people who lived there and who became a great nation, powerful and numerous. Then the Egyptians mistreated us, making us suffer and subjecting us to harsh labor. We cried out to the God of our ancestors, who heard our voice and saw our misery. God brought us out of there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with great terror and with signs and wonders. And now we have a song to tell a little bit more of the story. Cantor Jake.
There is a man coming to Egypt, and Moses is his name. When he saw the grief upon us, in his heart there burned a flame. In his heart there burned a flame, O Lord. In his heart there burned a flame. When he saw the grief upon us, in his heart there burned a flame. There is a man coming to Egypt. He's come for you and me. On his lips a word is singing, and his word is liberty. And his word is liberty, O Lord. And his word is liberty. On his lips a word is singing, and the word is liberty. There is a man coming to Egypt to stir the souls of men. We will follow him to freedom, never wear those chains again. Never wear those chains again, oh Lord, never wear those chains again. We will follow him to freedom, never wear those chains again. Never wear those chains again. Never wear those chains again.
That may have sounded familiar to some people. Cantor Jake, why don't you tell them where it came from if it sounded familiar?
So if that sounded familiar to you, then maybe you're also familiar with the artist who made this song. Light one candle for the Maccabee children in hopes that their light wouldn't die. Peter, Paul, and Mary. So that's Man Come Down to Egypt by Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Great. So now I'd like to actually ask people if they are able to unmute, because we're going to be singing one that I think you could sing with Cantor Jake. It'll be very familiar to you.
All right, so everybody unmute. We don't have to sing in time. Imagine we're all out there, we're Jews, slaves in the fields. And I just want you to respond to me. Just call it out however you see fit, however you feel it. It's one of these visceral reactions, right? I'm going to say something, and you're going to feel moved to say it, even if you didn't think you knew that you were going to say it. So here we go. It goes a little something like this. When Israel was in Egypt, exactly, just like that. One more time. Let's try it
Okay,
again.
so someone thinks they're not unmuted, but they are, and they keep saying, "I'm not unmuted," but you are. So don't
Trust me,
speak.
you are.
Just
I'm
sing
not
with
unmuted.
us, okay?
That's
Okay.
like with
Okay.
God forbid if someone's choking, if you can hear them talking, you know they're not. So if we can hear you saying I'm not unmuted, then you definitely are unmuted. Here we go. When Israel was in Egypt's land,
Let my people go.
yet so hard they could not stand.
Let my people go.
Go down,
Down,
Moses, way down in
down in
Egypt's
Egypt's
land.
land.
Tell old Pharaoh,
Let my
My
people
people
go.
a little bit here. Here we go. Thus said the Lord, bold Moses said, let my
Let my
people
people
go.
go.
If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my
Let my
people
people
go.
go.
Go down,
Moses,
Moses, way down in
way down in
Egypt's
Egypt's
land. Tell
land.
old
Hello,
Pharaoh, let
Pharaoh,
my
let my
people
people
go.
go.
Hello,
Hello,
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh, let
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 my
my people
people go. Very nice, very nice. We're gonna go on and actually mute everyone again just for a. Okay, that was very nice. We'll have another moment like that in a few minutes, but for now, we're going to go to a part of Seder that you're all familiar with, which is the 10 plagues. And I'm going to go to the page here. 105. So if you have a book, it's on page 90.
There's a problem with it.
There we go. Okay, so here we are. Now, it is traditional in Ashkenazi homes that we take some of our wine. Oh, shoot. Okay, I just lost it again. Just a second. 105. Oops. Okay, and then, right. Okay, so now we take our wine and we take our fork. You can take your pinky, but we don't lick our pinky afterwards because this is a bitter thing that we're going to be doing. This is about the 10 plagues that were visited upon the Egyptians in Pharaoh's time. And so if you have something like a plate or something that you can put, you can put the drips on, we're going to be doing that together. Okay, everyone have it? All right, so we're gonna go. Dom, blood, Spardeya, frogs, Kinim, lice, Arov, swarming insects, Dever, animal disease, Shechin, boils, Barad, hail, Arbe, locusts, Choshech, darkness, Makat Bekorot, death of the firstborn. Okay. So if any of these were visited upon them, or if any of these miracles were visited upon us, we say, Dayenu, it would have been enough. Would it have been? I don't know. But that's what the song says. So we're going to go with it. So let's page, the next page, which is in the book 92. And I'm going to invite Cantor Jake and Cantor Rachel to sing with us. Oh, actually, we can all unmute. We're going to be singing just 3 verses of this. Mitzrayim, Torah, and Shabbat. Mitzrayim being Egypt, and then Torah and Shabbat. So those are the three we're going to be singing. I think you all know Dayenu, so you can unmute. We're going to do this again, not exactly in time, but it'll be wonderful to have us all sing together. So if you can unmute, please do.
As they used to say, more or less. We're singing, we had this Israeli guide. Every time we asked him a question, he'd answer.
Okay, please, you're unmuted, so don't speak, just sing, okay?
Okay. What was that?
All right, folks, here we go. If God had done all those fantastic things, it would have been enough. And we sing together, let's go. Die, die,
Dayenu,
So we're singing about if just a God had gotten us out of Mitzrayim, we would have been okay with that. Here we go. Ilu natanatanu otzianu mi Mitzrayim otzianu mi Mitzrayim
Dayenu,
It obtained the book from God, the Torah. It would have been enough. Would have been enough. So let's sing about the Torah. Here we go. Ilu natananu et Torah
Sounds wonderful.
Okay. So after we got the Torah out of Mitzrayim, we needed a way to have a rest each week. So luckily before all of this, God created Shabbat on the seventh day for us to rest. So let's sing about it. And here we go.
wow, wonderful. If we had just one cantor there tonight, it would be enough. But since we have two, you can hear the harmony, and that's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to turn. Okay, now you can hear me. In this Haggadah, we have a contemporary Dayenu. Uh-oh, it froze again.
Should you download the PDF instead of?
No,
taking it from the
no,
internet?
you can't. No. I'm going to go back and do this again. Just give me a moment. I have to go out and come back in. Okay, stop.
Every rabbi must be having this problem if it's not downloadable.
No, it's not downloadable. It's proprietary. Just a second, I'm sorry. I have to log in again to my member login because this is only allowed for members that we have free access to the Mishkan Seder tonight.
Rabbi Raviva, I can read it from the text if you prefer.
No, that's okay. I'd like to have it in front of me. Okay, so now I can go ahead and share that with you. Oops. Okay, share screen. Okay. There we go. All right, so I guess they're having some problems with this website tonight. I guess a lot of people are using it. Okay, so now we're going to look at a contemporary Dayenu. And I'm going to make this closer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to read through the entire thing, but I'd like to read the beginning of this. So this is on page 109 here. It's on page 94 to 95 if you have a book. We have sung our Dayenus, declaring that any of God's blessings in the past would have been enough. But in our day, dare we ever think that there are enough blessings that no more are needed? For when we look at the world around us and see how much more is needed to perfect the world, we can only say, Lo Dayenu, it is not enough. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for people to look at for just a moment and to think about those aspects of our lives and of our world that really need some help that we're praying for tonight. So you can see on the screen, you can read what's here, or you can just think to yourself what things need repair in our world. And while we do this, Cantor Jay, can I ask you to just play a little background music for us while we think about these contemporary Dayenus, or not Dayenus? So we're going to turn to the last part of this. We're all able to sit under their vine and fig tree in their homes and schools, in their synagogues, mosques, churches, shrines, and movie houses and supermarkets, in their work and in their play, and no one to make them afraid. Lo Dayenu. But the rabbis taught, while we are not obliged to complete all that must be done, we are obliged never to give up. So were we to say that we truly did our part to ensure for others the safety, security, health, joy, freedom, and hope we cherish, sitting at this Seder table with family and friends and community, knowing that our work will never be completed and that there is no such thing as enough, we will have earned the right to say, Dayenu, Dayenu. We now turn to page 96, those who have a book, and I'm going to put this on here. Oops. And page, Bechol Dor Vador. Let's see, there it is. Okay, and Cantors, Jake and Rachel, if you could lead us in Bechol Dor Vador.
בכל דור ודור חייב אדם לראות את עצמו כאילו הוא יצא ממצרים שנאמר והגעת לבנך ביום ההוא לאמור בעבור זה עשה אדוני לי בצאתי ממצרים
as in every age and generation, the task is ours to see ourselves as if we had come out of Egypt. As it is said, make clear to your child on that day, this is because of what Adonai did for me when I myself went forth from Egypt. So we're supposed to see ourselves as if we personally undertook this journey. And of course, in our own lives, we do at all times keep this in mind as we go from places and times of darkness to times of light. Page 104, if you have a book, and I'm going to take this to page, 119. Okay. Now we raise our cups. We're not going to drink this wine. We're just going to say this. Lefichach anachnu chayavim lehodot lehalel u'leshavbeach lefa'er leromem lehader levarech le'aleh ulkales lemi she'asa la'avotenu ve'imotenu velanu et kol hanisim ha'eleh. Therefore, this is our sacred task, to thank, praise, revere, and exalt, beautify, bless, acclaim, and adore the one who did these wondrous things for our mothers and fathers of old and for us. God brought us forth from slavery to freedom, from sorrow to joy, from mourning to celebration, from darkness to radiance, from the yoke of tyranny to the dawn of redemption. So let us bring forth a song that is new. Sing hallelujah. And now we put our cups down as I invite Cantor Jake to lead us in the psalm on page 109 if you have a book. And it is 122 here. B'tzeit Yisrael. And I'm going to make this bigger. Here we go.
B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. Hayta Yehuda lekodsho, Yisrael ma'mishlotav. Hayam ravi anos, Hayarden yisof leachor. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. Malacha hayam, Kitanus, Hayarden, Tisof leachor, Harim, Tikrul chelim, Gevao kivnei tzon. Here we go, let's sing B'tzeit Yisrael. 1, 2, 3, let's go. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. B'tzeit Yisrael miMitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez.
Nice. Okay, we are going to, I'm just going to point out that we have two big goblets on the table. One is filled with wine and one is filled with water. The one that is filled with wine is Kos Eliyahu, it's Elijah's cup. And we're going to acknowledge Elijah in the second part of the Seder, which you're going to do on your own. So we're not going to do that here, but we have the opportunity to read a little bit about Miriam here, Miriam's cup. And you can see that this cup of Miriam is because of this connection from about Miriam to water. And you can see that Miriam took Moses out of the water, of course, and water is the sign of our people's birth, with Moses holding his arm out of this over the sea, the water splitting, and then Moses and the Israelites, the male Israelites singing, and then Miriam, the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand and chanted for the women. It is also associated with Miriam because she is said to have brought water out of the desert, that everywhere that the Israelites camped in the desert, when Miriam was with them, Miriam brought the water from the desert, and that's why we have Miriam's cup. We're going to sing now Eliyahu Hanavi and segue right into Miriam Haniviyah, and that is a couple of pages later. Here we go. Oh, sorry. I meant to mute myself, and unfortunately I muted you, Jake. I'm sorry. It's okay.
It's okay. I feel like I'm back in Meets Ryan, back in the Narrows, trying to have my voice heard, get shut down. Only kidding. Here we go. We hope that the return of these prophets to help our world comes soon. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, Bimhera beyamenu, Yavo Elenu, Moshiach ben David, Moshiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Miriam Haniviyah, Oz v'zimra beyada, Miriam tirkor itanu lehagdil zimrat olam. Miriam tirkor itanu letaken et haolam. Bimhera veyamenu hitvienu el mei Yeshua, El Mei Yeshua, Miriam Haniviyah, Oz v'zimra beyada, Miriam tirkor itanu lehagdil zimrat olam.
Thank you, Cantor Jake. We are now at the second cup of wine or grape juice. If you don't have any wine or grape juice in your cup, please add some. With the second cup, we recall the second promise of liberation. Shene'amar v'hitzalti etchem me'avodatam. I will save you from their forced labor. We raise the cup as Cantor Jake leads us in the second cup.
Baruch atah Adonai, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Amen. And now we have the, yep, I was on the wrong page, sorry about that, but it was Bray Paradox. Now we go to the matzah, which is, we're getting close to our dinner here. We're getting close there. Page 139. No, that's me. For those who have a book, It's page 124. And we're going to say the Al Natilat Yadayim. So if you have a means of washing your hands ritually, we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to say Al Natilat Yadayim, and then go straight into the motzi, which will be a couple pages later, but it will be the motzi and then the matzah right after. The motzi and matzah brachot together. So I'm going to go do a ritual hand washing. Those who need to do so, go do so now. That's the Al Natilat Yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al natilat yadayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Amen. The first taste of matzah for the year. We passed it.
Oh, this is.
Oh, the whole sheet was not for you.
At least Angela was giving me some. That was-
So this matzah that we're holding, we didn't have time to get matzah before the Seder started, so we made some. And this is some
Wow.
authentic. It's the idea that you make bread and you don't let it rise at all because there wasn't enough time to let the bread rise before the Temple Sinai Seder was going to start. And so we got ourselves some super flat bread.
Yeah, if you remember from Rabbi's sermon on Shabbat this week, we learned that you have to make it in 18 minutes or less.
18.
I think 18, right?
Yes, less than 18 minutes.
Well, that's what we
Yep.
did.
Excellent. Perfect.
Great.
I'm glad it had some practical use, what I talked about. Okay, fantastic. So now we are going to explain the most important parts of the Seder. This is actually, if you were to ask, what is the very least we can possibly do in a Seder to make it okay? This is what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah records a saying of Rabban Gamliel. One who has not discussed the meaning of these three things has not fulfilled the purpose of the Seder: Pesach, matzah, and maror. So I'm going to ask my handy dandy Vanna White here to pick up the Pesach. Okay, so there we go. The Pesach offering is what our ancestors ate when the temple stood. What is its meaning? Jake, do you still have food in your mouth? Do you want to read this for us, please? It reminds us.
Am I not halachically sound if I do? There might be. All right, here we go.
It reminds
Sorry,
us.
I need it on my. I need to turn to it in my book. I can't see it.
Oh, okay. In your book, it's page 128.
128.
Do you see it at the bottom of the page?
Oh,
Nope.
yeah. Pesach. The Pesach is a reminder of the two discrete historical moments, the blood on the doorposts that would spare the Israelites from the angel of death. Am I reading the right spot?
I don't see that, but that sounds good. It sounds
Yeah,
correct.
Oh, okay. It reminds us the Holy One passed over the
Okay.
homes of our ancestors in Egypt. As it is written, you shall say, it's a Pesach offering for Adonai, who passed over the homes of the Israelites in Egypt when God struck the Egyptians, but spared our houses.
Okay, our ancestors in Egypt gathered with family, friends, and neighbors to eat the Pesach offering, and still we come together at the Pesach table to share this feast, renewing our bonds of love and friendship. In gratitude to God, guardian of our homes, we join tonight with the whole household of Israel. And now we lift the matzah. This matzah that we eat, here's our matzah cover. What is its meaning? And Rachel, you want to read this at the bottom of the page? Oh, she's gone. Okay.
She's back.
I'm here.
Ah, she's back. Okay.
Reading part, I'm down.
Okay, this is on, I don't know what your page is. Let's see, page 129, I think.
It reminds
Yeah,
us.
the matzah page.
Here, yes. It reminds us that the dough prepared by our ancestors had no time to rise before the Holy One redeemed them. As it's written, they baked unleavened cakes with the dough, for they were driven out of Egypt and could not delay, nor did they prepare any provisions for themselves.
Very nice. Okay. Oh, we just did that. Maror. Where's Maror?
Maror, 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 maror.
Page 136 in your book. But I'm not fine. Oh, here it is. Maror. Okay, here we are. Maror. And we have, oops. Okay, here we go. So we have a little bit of maror here. Okay, this bitter herb that we eat, what is its meaning? It reminds us that the Egyptians embittered the lives of our ancestors in Egypt, as it is written. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor, with mortar and bricks, and toiled in the fields. All the labor they ruthlessly forced on them. Tonight, we taste again the bitterness of slavery. We feel the sting of our ancestors' tears and those of all who have been enslaved in our own country and around the world. As it is written, I am a Jew because wherever suffering weeps, the Jew weeps. And now we say the bracha for the maror, which is, here we go. Okay, so Cantor Jake, you want to lead us in that? And we can put a little bit of maror on our little piece of matzah. Just right here.
I thought that was it. afikomen.
Oh, that's the afikomen. Okay, where's the,
All right, so you got your maror on the matzah there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror.
don't use the afikomen. Don't use the afikomen. Mhm.
Dip this for me in the maror.
Okay. And now we have Korach, which is the sandwich that Hillel ate, Hillel sandwich. A sacred remembrance to bond with the past. We keep the custom of Hillel from those days when the temple existed. Hillel would combine matzah and maror with a Pesach offering. Then, in fulfillment of ancient teaching, eat the symbols of our redemption together. As it is said, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, they shall eat it. And so now we're going to put together our little Hillel sandwich. I'm going to actually stop the share now. We are out after time. I'm sorry, it took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I do want to see one another before we say goodnight for the evening and go to our own dinner tables. I wanted to say hello to everybody. So everyone put together your Hillel sandwich and you can nosh, but I do just want to say hello and wish each other a Chag Sameach. We have, where's the charoset?
It was in a bowl.
That's good. That's good. That's good. There's a midrash about horseradish. They used to the Israelites would give it to their horses and feed it to them in order to make them work twice as fast and run twice as fast. Is that true, Rabbi Aviva? Is that a real midrash, or am I making it up?
You made a midrash that's as valid as any I've heard. Oh, I see Bunny. Lynn has her doggy Bunny. And people can unmute now and say hello. Because we're done with our part of the Seder. We're just going to eat our little porach and then finish up.